Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to look at the Internet and the World Wide Web. We are going to look at the different types of broadband internet connections, the types of internet service providers, web browsers, search engines, different types of websites, the multimedia elements of web, what is web publishing, the different web applications like email, mailing list, and some of the rules of netiquette. Essentially, this is a lecture about the internet. So it's the technologies that we use over the internet, and how do we actually get connected to accessing this information online. Okay, so the internet is made up of a worldwide collection of networks that links millions of businesses, government agencies, educational institutions, and individuals. It is very important to note that the internet is not owned by anyone and owned by everybody at the same time. Okay, so how it exists is that because when you connect to an internet, you connect to a network. So this network in return is connected to another network, probably in another location. Now, when millions of these networks are connected together, they form the internet. These networks could belong to a university, it could belong to the government, it could belong to business, and whatsoever. So what actually happens is that when everybody is connected, okay, the internet exists. Now, of course, in a situation where nobody gets connected to the net at any one time, then it just does not exist. Therefore, it is impossible to pin down the exact size of the internet because, to begin with, it is one of the fastest growing networks in the world. The internet has billions of new users each year. It is decentralized. It is not located in only one location. So you can imagine that if one country does not have internet access, it doesn't mean that the internet has disappeared because others are still connected. It doesn't have any hard boundaries, unlike governments or nations. The internet basically is what sometimes referred to as a boundaryless world. The internet originated as ARPANET in September 1969. Two main goals: allow scientists at different physical locations to share information and work together, and function even if part of the network were disabled or destroyed by a disaster. So what this actually means is that this is at a time when the internet is this was a time when the sharing of information between scientists was what the ARPANET wanted to do. So because scientists are located in different places, they were carrying out their research in different locations around in the United States. So what they need to do is they need to connect them so that they can share resources instead of traveling all the time. So that was in 1969. And in 1984, it has more than 1,000 individual computers linked as hosts. Okay. If you fast forward to 1996, Internet 2 was founded. Now, what is Internet 2? Internet 2 actually refers to a more commercial representation of what the Internet is today, because the original intention of ARPANET was for research and sharing of resources. Okay. Today, we have more than 550 million hosts which are connected to the Internet, and this number is growing at a very fast pace. We connect to the internet using a lot of ways, but the most common one that we are accustomed to today would be high-speed broadband internet services. The different types include cable internet service, DSL, fiber to premises, fixed wireless, Wi-Fi, cellular radio networks, and satellite internet services. Okay, now if you look at these different types of services that are available to connect to the internet, we usually we will probably the providers that come into our mind will probably be people like TM, True Unify, Maxis, DG, and Cellcom, all of whom have got home-based internet service access. They are known as access providers because these are the companies which provide individuals and organizations access to the internet for free or for a fee. Now, of course, in most cases, we are charged for internet access. There are three main types of internet service providers. First, they are called ISPs, internet service provider. They are the most common ones that we know of. divided between regional ones and national ones. Okay, the regional ones are those that provide internet access to a specific geographical area, while the national ones are those that are more provide internet service more on a nationwide scale. The OSPs, or the online service providers, are those that actually they provide internet service only for certain group of people, and these are like they have worked on some sort of like a membership program, yeah, but it's not as popular here as it is in the United States, where they are offered by companies like American Online, AOL, or Microsoft Network. The other type of service providers are known as WISP, or wireless internet service providers. These are the ones that provide wireless internet access to computers and mobile devices and may require a wireless modem. Yeah, basically you can look at this as Wi-Fi providers. This diagram shows how you connect to the internet through your home computers. Yeah, how it actually works is that you usually have a cable modem that actually connected to the network out there. If you look at the case in point, we use in using Unify, we connect our modems to the Unify network, which gives you access to the World Wide Web out there. Now, this is a very important area of the internet, okay? Because there are millions and even billions of computers connected to the internet at any one time. Each of these computers must have a unique identifier, or in other words, it must have an address. We call it an IP address, yeah, that identify your particular computer on the internet. Okay, so why do we need this type of address? You can look at IP address as something like a house address, yeah, which if you want to send a message to your friend, or when your friend wants to send a message to you, it will identify you by your IP address. Now, the IP address can be a permanent one, or it can be a dynamic one. So it is immaterial, because you will not be able, you won't know what your IP address is. You don't need to know actually. So when you get connected to Unify, you are given an IP address. So for that particular session, you will have something that looks like this. Okay. Now this example here says 72.14.207.19. So this is the common way of how IP address looks like. Yeah. Now we can assume that this could be the number of your house, and this would be the number of your street. Okay, so 14.207.99 could be the number of the street, and 72 could be the number of your house. That means if I send a message to you, my message will try to look for 14.207.99, look for the street first. Yeah. Now in this context, it looks for the network first. So the network is identified by this string of numbers, 14.207.99. Once I get to the network, I will have to start looking for the house number 72. Okay, so this is what an IP address, this is how an IP address works, and this is what IP address look like. Okay, a domain name is the text version of an IP address. Yeah, and this is where we look at things like top level domains. Now, when we look at the domain name, it is an important feature of the internet, because when all the computers connected to the internet is made up of IP address, it is impossible for us to remember, because these are all in numbers. Yeah, so a domain name is to make it easier for us to remember a place that we want to go. For example, www.google.com. Alright, so there are several types of generic top-level domains that are available, which are being used. I think everyone will know what .com is. Yeah, when we say .com, it actually refers to commercial organizations. Usually these are for profit-making organizations. Other types of generic top-level domains include Aero, Biz, Cat, Edu, which are used to identify educational institutions like universities, colleges, and schools. Gov for governments, info, jobs, MIL, MOBI, museum, name, net, ORG, PRO, TL, travel, and so on and so forth. TCP/IP, or Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. This is basically a specification that is used on the internet today. Okay, it means the language of the internet. Now, what do we mean by the language of the internet? When we connect to a network, we have to speak a certain language. That means our computers must be able to communicate with each other. Yeah. Now, in communicating with each other, there's a certain protocol. So this is the protocol that is being used. Not all the networks use TCP/IP, but most, because this is the most generic one, and this is one of the industry standard that is being used. So all computers will be TCP/IP ready, yeah, when they connect to the network. The World Wide Web, okay, known in short as the web. Yeah, it's basically made up of a collection of electronic documents. There are billions and billions of electronic documents available now on the World Wide Web. Yeah, a website is a collection of related web pages and associated items. A web server is the computer that delivers requested web pages to your computer. Web 2.0 refers to websites that provides a means for users to interact. Okay, so we know the term web. So it means actually it's the whole library of electronic documents known as web pages. Yeah, and this is all. They are basically stored in a lot of many servers that's located around the world. Okay, now all this while we are more accustomed to looking at websites to get information. So we log on to we visit, say, wikipedia.org, and then we read what is on Wikipedia. So that's how it works. But Web 2.0 is a more interactive situation. It's more contemporary, and it's where we start allowing users to interact and submit your resources. Now, Web 2.0 is more advanced because now it refers to things like social media, wikis, blogs, in which you can generate your own content instead of reading from websites. A web browser, okay, basically it allows you to access web pages and any programs that's available on the web. The most common ones, of course, is Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, Opera, Safari, and Google Chrome. All of these browsers usually have their own similar functions. Okay, so how does a web browser display a home page? When you actually access a certain web page, what the browser actually do is it tries to retrieve the HTML file, which is the language used to write a web page, and download that page onto your browser. Then it will be able to display. The home page is the first page that a website displays. Okay, provide links to other related web pages. And when you actually link from one page to another, this is the action that we call surfing the web. Yeah, downloading is the process of receiving information. So when you actually connect to google.com or yahoo.com, wikipedia.org, what actually happens is that you're downloading something. You're downloading the information from the server and then displaying on your browser. The web page has a unique address called a URL, or Universal Resource Locator, yeah, or otherwise known as a web address. So here you will see that the address that you are very accustomed to or you have seen before, this is actually called a URL. Yeah, it's divided into many parts. The HTTP is where the protocol is. Yeah, what do you mean by protocol? Means it's actually the platform that this particular page is developed in. You have the domain name, www.nps.gov, the path, which is where the location of the file, and the exact file name. Yeah, in this context, wildlifeviewing.htm. Tab browsing allows you to open and view multiple web pages in a single web browser window. This makes it a lot more convenient for us, especially when we are surfing, where you can have multiple tabs opened, and you can access a few websites at any one time. There are two types of search tools available. The most common one, of course, is search engines, and the other is called subject directories. Search engines, for example, we're talking about google.com, where basically there's no, you do not get to choose what categories you're searching for. You just key in the term or the key that you want to, the search string or the word that you want to look for, and it will search for you. While a subject directory is more organized, which classifies the web pages in an organized set of categories. So if you are familiar with Yahoo, the way that it looked like in the past, you get to browse different categories of websites in different categories of websites accordingly, like entertainment, sports, news, and so on. Okay, the most widely used search tools on the internet, of course, we have things like A9, All the Web, Alta Vista, AOL Search, Ask, Bing, Cool, DocPow, Excite, Gigablast, Google, DeCos, MSN, Open Directory Project, Web Crawler, and Yahoo. So you can see here that Google is not the only search engine around. There are actually a lot more that's available, all of which have their own set of functions and advantages. A search engine is helpful in locating items like images, videos, audio, news, maps, people, and blogs. So this is something that you might want to consider if you are searching for something where if you do not identify the specific item that you want to look for, you will look for anything else based on the term. Generally, there are 13 types of websites. You have portals, which are a collection of information on a certain specific topic. You have news websites, which provide news, essentially. Informational, that provides information about a certain genre or category of resources. Business and marketing. Blogs, wikis, online social networks, Facebook, Twitter. Educational ones, which provide you with educational information, entertainment, advocacy, web applications, content aggregators, and personal websites. The criteria for evaluating a website's content, okay, you must, because there's so much information over on the web, you must ensure that what you are looking for is actually accurate, okay, because no one actually oversees the content of the web pages. No one actually validates if this information is correct or even verified. So you need to conduct your own research if you are looking for information over the web, particularly if you are using things like Wikipedia. Multimedia refers to any application that combines text with the following: graphics, animation, audio, video, or virtual reality. So you have a combination of text, or with any of this, you have what we call multimedia. Graphics is a digital representation of non-text information. Okay. Now, images is very popular. It's a very popular element on websites because people are more receptive to visuals rather than text. So when you have something that is non-text, that means it's not words, it's an image, okay, or a graphic. And you could have graphic formats like BMP, GIF, JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. Okay, a thumbnail is a small version of a larger graphic, and this is basically it's used to give you an easier representation or a better view of all the pictures that are available. An animation is the appearance of motion created by displaying a series of still images in sequence. Okay, audio includes music, speech, or any other sound compressed to reduce the file size. You listen to audio on the computer using a media player like VLC or Windows Media Player for that matter. Streaming is a process of transferring data in a continuous and even flow. This is most common when you listen to music online, and even if you watch videos that are played online through YouTube. Okay. VR is the use of computers to simulate a real or imagined environment that appears as a three-dimensional space. This diagram illustrates how you purchase and download music using iTunes, okay, where you browse through the iTunes website and buy the music that you like, which subsequently will be downloaded to your computer. Now, a plugin is a program that extends the capability of a web browser. This is a very important aspect of any browser because browsers are essentially designed to read HTML files. So Under certain circumstances, the browser might not be able to recognize certain types of files that you want to open, like a PDF file or an animation, yeah, or a video, or even a song. So what happens is that you install a plugin onto the browser so that it will be able to recognize other types of file types that it will not be able to, other than HTML. Web publishing is the development and maintenance of web pages. Okay, so you can actually publish your own websites if you want, but one of the most important aspects about this is that you ensure that your websites are easy to navigate and contains the information that people are looking for. Before you actually start publishing, you should plan what your website is supposed to do, how it's supposed to look like, yeah, and then analyze and design the site. After that, you can create the site, deploy it, and in the end, you can maintain the website by updates and so on. Servers. Well, you might recall that in our earlier lectures, we have talked about servers, which are computers, more powerful computers. They are used to connect certain other computers or terminals in a network. So on the internet, we have a few types of servers which are very important. Email servers, which basically they are like a local post office. Yeah. So when you send an email, it goes to the post office and then it sends out. And this is where the email server work. File servers are those that distribute programs, media files, and other data across the internet. As the name implies, the file server is the one that stores files. The application servers are those that store applications, and then they make them available on request. Web servers are those that store web pages and send them to client programs when requested. So the web server here is very important because when you connect to google.com, what you're actually doing is you are requesting for the file from Google's web server. This is where the web page is stored. Okay? Alright, moving on. Web 2.0 and U. Web 2.0 refers to websites that provide a means for users to interact. In Web 2.0, anyone can create an online publication. You can do that using blogs, forums, you can use YouTube, Flickr, and so on. A mashup is a combination of web content such as a web page, a song, a video, or image. Okay, so now what does this Web 2.0 actually do? Web 2.0, why do we call it Web 2.0 is because before we have things like blogs and wikis and forums, it was more a one-way message communication channel. You visit a website and you read about what the website owner wants to tell you. In Web 2.0, you can now start to comment about things that you read. You go out to a web news portal, you read about a piece of news and you can comment about it. You can give your opinions about it. Yeah? If you're not satisfied with it, you can even create your own blog entry about it. Or better still, if you like, you can shoot a video and upload it in YouTube and share it with everybody else. This is, in other words, what we call user-generated content, where content is no longer developed only by the website owners, but it is shared by people. It is developed by users like you and me. Okay? E-commerce. E-commerce is business transaction that occurs over an electronic network. Okay? It is anyone with access to a computer or mobile device, an internet connection, and the means to pay for purchased goods or services can participate in e-commerce. E-commerce is actually short for electronic commerce. We are looking at the trading, buying and selling, and even exchanging of products, services, or information over data networks. Yeah. So it's not, e-commerce does not exist over the internet alone. It exists in as long as there's data network. So previously, before the internet became very popular as for transactions, people used to conduct e-commerce over telephone lines, and this is where e-commerce have already existed. Yeah. Today, this environment have already been extended to other areas like mobile networks and so on and so forth. Okay, so there are three main types of electronic commerce: business to consumer, otherwise known in short as B2C, business to business, B2B, and consumer to consumer, C2C. Yeah. Now, the first type, B2C, is perhaps the most common way of buying things online. Yeah, when you're buying something from, say, Amazon.com or Dell.com, you're basically buying The business is actually selling to you as a consumer. Okay, B2B on the other hand is more involved with the trading between one business with another business. Okay, now this is actually it's derived through companies like, for example, Dell has a connection or an internet connection with Intel, where they buy processors on a periodical basis. This could happen every week or so. Now, this connection between Dell and Intel, this is something that is only exclusive to these two companies. Yeah, and it facilitates the whole entire e-commerce transaction is facilitated through the network, which makes communication faster and a lot more efficient. The other type of e-commerce model, or otherwise known as consumer to consumer, is where you can actually sell things. For example, eBay, for example, lelong.com, mudah.my. These are kind of websites that actually facilitate consumer to consumer transactions. Okay, this diagram illustrates the example of an e-retail process, where first the customer look at what is on the website and then select the products that he or she wants to buy, and then enters payment information. Yeah, from there the bank will conduct all the security checks that are necessary, and then it will be delivered to your doorstep. Other internet services, we are looking at things like email, okay, which has become a de facto or one of the industry standards in communication, not only among individuals but between businesses, organizations, and so on. Okay, this is the transmission of messages and files via a computer network. You need an email program to let you create, send, receive, forward, store, print, and delete email messages. Okay, this is, for example, Outlook. For example, Outlook Express, which is the most common program. Otherwise, we are also accustomed to web-based email like Google Mail and Yahoo Mail. Yeah? This diagram illustrates how email is sent from a sender to a receiver. Okay, you use the program to edit your email, and then you send. It will go to the email server. Okay, this is referred to an email server, and we call it the outgoing email server because you're sending out the email, and then you will identify who is the incoming, and goes to the recipient. A mailing list is a group of email names and addresses given a single name. Okay, you can subscribe or unsubscribe to this mailing list, which are very commonly used by companies or businesses who wants to promote their products or who wants to advertise their products directly to their customers. So if you are interested in certain brands or you want to get updates from a certain company, you can subscribe to their mailing list. However, if you decide that you do not want to receive any more, you can always unsubscribe. Instant messaging is a real-time internet communication service. This has changed the area of communication tremendously. We are looking at things like Yahoo Messenger, we are looking at MSN Messenger, and of course this type of chat systems are also available on social media like Facebook. Now, of course, in the past, instant messaging services are very popular because it allows you to talk with somebody real time, instantly from another part of the world, as long as you're both awake. But with social media and of course microblogging like Twitter, instant messaging has become less popular because now you can get instant updates. You can also instantly chat with one another over social media. A chat is a real-time type conversation that takes place on a computer. A chat room is the location on an internet server that permits users to chat with each other. VoIP enables users to speak to other users over the internet. It's called internet telephony as well. VoIP is a fast-growing technology where now you can actually call somebody over the internet. One of the very popular applications of VoIP is Skype, SKYPE. To upload and download files, you use a protocol called FTP, or File Transfer Protocol. A news group is an online area in which users have written discussions about a particular project. Typically, it requires a news reader, yeah, where you basically it's like a place where people discuss about a particular subject of a specific genre. Okay, a message board is a web-based type of discussion group. Ethical and political dilemmas of the internet. Yeah. Because the internet is so exposed, we are looking at issues that deals with ethics and of course politics, which I'm sure we have heard about how the elections have been influenced by social media. Election results have been influenced by people who are talking in social media and spreading news and so on. We have also read about reports of people making seditious statements and so on. So we are looking at this kind of problems. Now it could be a problem or it could be an issue that is being talked about. Yeah. So the internet has provided a place where freedom of speech has become more relevant or more prominent than ever. So we have to consider what sort of measures should be taken. We have to think about copyright. We have to think about people downloading information online and pasting it into their reports and claiming it theirs. So these are the kind of things that need to be addressed. We will discuss that further in the tutorials. We also have to look at areas like keeping children out of inappropriate websites, because adult sites and pornographic sites are available and easily visited by anybody. In the US, we have the 1996 US Communications Decency Act, we have the Children's Internet Protection Act, which are all measures taken to try and curb this problem, particularly on censorship. Another issue that we must talk about is internet addiction, yeah, in which so far there haven't been any findings of whether too much internet might affect a person. Yeah, that's why some people are spending too much time online without knowing the consequences, because there's not it's still unknown. Yeah, you will find that under certain circumstances you're spending 40 to 80 hours a week online just playing games alone. Some people are spending 40 to 80 hours a week online on social media. The digital divide separates those who with easy access to technology to those who don't. Okay, so we have Malaysia is a very fortunate country because we do have government initiatives to provide more broadband internet access, even to rural areas. But at the moment, there are countries who do not have easy access to technology. Even there are countries who are actually have heavy censorship over the internet. So this is what we call the digital divide. So certain countries are very open in terms of internet access, or open in terms of information that's available online. Certain countries do not. So the divide is quite big. Net neutrality. Internet access should be free from restrictions related to the equipment and communications being used. Okay, this should be the underlying principle of the internet. Telecommunications companies have lobbied to block legislation. Yeah. Now this is of course in terms of the information that is available on the internet. Yeah. One of the issues that's been talked about is censorship. Should there be any censorship of information on the internet? Finally, netiquette is the code of acceptable internet behavior. Here we are looking at things that you should do and you should not do over the web. Basically, it refers to the manners, okay, good manners that you should adopt in when you are using the web and communicating with others. Okay, so here we have the top 10 netiquette rules. Be courteous, okay, always have good manners. Use emoticons. Be brief, okay, don't be too long-winded. Don't yell, shout, or scream. Now, how this works is when you're actually sending an email full of capital letters, which is something that is very popular with people who are using SMS as well. Use proper language. Don't simply make postings. Help others, especially the new ones. obey the copyright laws. Don't copy and paste and call it yours. Keep private information private. And the last but not least, don't copy and paste. Equals mine. Okay, so that concludes our e-lecture for this week. We have looked at the history and structure of the internet, what the World Wide Web is all about, some technologies of the web, e-commerce, and the rules of netiquette. Take note of the tutorial question. Please complete them and submit them before the break is over. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.